Hey there guys, it's Toasty Fresh and I'm back with another video for you, and it's going to be a subject video, and I'm just going to kind of ramble on about the subject of the habit of collecting video games, and what type of collector you are, and I'm going to go over what kind of collector I am, but then also like ask you guys what type of collector category you kind of fall into, and what are your habits, and what shape you as a collector, what are the main priorities in the your hobby of collecting video games. I suppose I'll kind of go over the origins of my collecting a little bit, and kind of my story of how I got about doing this, and maybe doing videos about it, and getting onto Twitter a little bit and things like that. And recent history, I started collecting again for video games in a big way about just over 2 year ago, about 3 year ago. I started collecting and hoarding video games again. Before that, my collection had dwindled, and that's a subject. It's going to be a subject for another video. But basically, almost my entire collection of video games was gone, kaput. I lost them, and that's going to be the subject for another video. How that happened, and basically, I started on. I had a handful of games for older systems, and then I had my PlayStation 3, and that was it. My girlfriend had a Xbox 360, and then slowly, as time went on, because I had the original 60 gig PlayStation 3 that was backwards compatible with everything. I kind of slowly picked up a few PlayStation 1 stuff that could play, and PlayStation 2 stuff as I saw it cheap, and it just kind of built up and built up from there. And then I got the kind of feeling to go back and replace what I'd lost. So I got an original Xbox again. I got a Dreamcast. I've got a Game Boy Color. I've got a Game Boy Advance. I've got a SNES, and I've got an N64. So my collection's not the most eclectic and the biggest collection, and out of anybody that I know. Even I don't even know what I class myself in the top as. I'm just a collector really. But yeah, so that's how I got started. And before that, like I said, I'd had most of those consoles, but kind of I wasn't a retro gaming collector as such. It was just things that I'd collected, and with me, it wasn't so much that I was a collector. I was just someone that never really let things go, and I built up quite a collection because there were the games that I played, and I just kept it. And I never really bought into the whole practice of swapping my games, getting rid of my games to get new ones once I completed them. I'd always thought that laying out that money for them, it'd be a waste to sell them on for less. So I usually kept them. I mean, the odd time that I did do it, I regretted it. Like I sold my Game Boy Color way back, and that was a bit of a mistake. And I sold my Amiga 600 that I inherited off my brother. Bought it off him, and then later on I sold it. And I always regretted it. So after a certain point, I just stopped doing it. I stopped trading in games. So that was kind of my how it shaped my collecting then. Now, I'd say I'm kind of eclectic in the sense that I collect for a lot of different things, mainly PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 1. But that's as my budget will allow. Like for me, I don't have huge wads of money to chuck around at the hobby, so the PlayStation 2 is the perfect kind of medium for me, because you can pick games up for 50p, a pound, and even some of the games that are the better games, you'll still pick them up for £5 or £6, and there's only the very rare games that go beyond £20 and above. So it's a really affordable system to collect for and to get games for. And similar with the PlayStation 1, there is some expensive games that are getting more expensive, but there is still, gems that you can get out there. And I'd say really more my collecting is of a bargain hunter. I like to go out and just get things as cheap as possible, and I don't like to really overpay. So that's kind of me. I kind of live within a means and a set budget, and I'll have a set idea of how much I'll be willing to spend on a game if I see it on eBay and things like that. More now, I'm leading towards buying games in the wild really now. Before that, I used to pick stuff off eBay, and I'll still look on like Facebook selling sites and things like that. Just if something is too good to turn down, and I do actually have the money for it, I will go and get it. But I'm not somebody that goes out and vacuums up every single little thing that's out there just because I can. I've kind of had to control myself, and that's with having certain priorities. Like I've got a family, I've got a girlfriend, I've got a little girl, and you can't be selfish and spend all of your money on yourself anymore. It's not like when I was younger. So I've got that kind of influencing now and shaping how I would collect video games and things like that. Responsibilities are a big factor. But for me, yeah, it's kind of more collecting stuff in the wild is kind of, there's a different feeling to doing that. It's kind of like there's an element of discovery and surprise. You don't know what you're going to get if you go to a certain town, or what you're going to pick up, if you're going to find anything. It could be you end up with a really dry time of going to a town and there's absolutely nothing there. But other times you'll pick up something quite nice. I mean, I can't say that I've ever found anything absolutely mind-blowing yet that's been an ultimate bargain. That's something that's really expensive that I picked up for peanuts. I can't really say that I've done that yet. I've got some nice deals. Like I got Dirge of Cerberus and I got Star Ocean till the Ends of Time for £1 each from a car boot, which is pretty nice. But again, that's not like a £50 game that I've got for £1. But it was a nice bit of a saving. So they're kind of my traits as a collector, and I don't really have a set console that I will buy for. If I see something cheap enough and I haven't got it, then I will get it. Like I collect for the original Xbox, I collect for the Dreamcast, I collect for the PlayStation 1, the PlayStation 2, the PlayStation 3, the modern stuff. I collect for the SNES as well where I can, but that's kind of expensive, so it's something that I'm really limited on getting. N64 as well when I can. I've got a nice little selection, just a compact collection of games for that, again because the price kind of affects it. Unless you want to get all the sports games and things like that, I'm not too interested in that. But that's kind of how I am as a collector. I'm kind of shrewd. I'm not really a completionist, as that I want to buy for every game for a given console, and I'm focusing on one console. I'm kind of eclectic, but also I'm not someone that will go to any lengths to get a certain game. I will set myself a budget, and I won't overpay, just within my own principles, really. Like even if I had all the money in the world, I'd probably have a house or a building or whatever just full of games, just full of arcades. I'd have everything if the money allowed. But even then, I don't think I pay over the odds of whatever's a fair price for that game. I don't think I'd go spending stupid money, even then, just on principle. But it'd be interesting to see what your guys out there, the retro gaming community, or just gamers in general, what are your gaming habits? Are you someone who's picked a console? Are you a focus collector where you've, say, picked a Dreamcast and thought, I'm going to get every single game for the Dreamcast, that's all I want to collect for? Are you someone who's more eclectic like me, that you kind of gotten a few different consoles and you just pick as you can find them? Do you spend whatever it takes to get a certain game if you think, oh, that's added to my collection and I've got that now safe, it was worth it to me? Or are you someone who's a bit more prudent with your money and would rather wait and see if you can get the game at another time at a cheaper price? And just the reasons for it, like my reasons really behind it are probably similar to a lot of retro gamers, in that on the one hand I want to replay games that I had and I loved, and some of them they're in my original collection. and just other games that I just have great memories of. And to revisit the games that I never got a chance to play, not being someone that was gifted with a really wealthy family that could just buy me every game under the sun whenever I wanted. My game selection was limited to what my spending money could afford as younger years, and then as a young apprentice and things like that in work, not having the biggest wage. Again, I had to still budget as to which games I wanted to buy until my wages became a little bit better as I got a little bit older. And then again, now it's responsibilities now taking over that. Would it be interested to see what kind of collector you are, the reasons behind it, and just some stories on how you started collecting again? At what point, stage in your life did you start collecting again, or have you always collected and it's just a continuation again of the stuff you already have? Like I said, I wouldn't class myself really as a proper retro gamer all the way through my life. I never went back and got Spectrums and things like that. I mean, several years after release, I did buy a Dreamcast just to see what it was like. I never really played one, so it was cheap. It was about £25 back then, and I got 3 games with it. So Soul Calibur, I think it was, Sword of the Berserk, and another game. I forget which one that was. I think it was some kind of football game or something. But yeah, so they're my kind of things. What are your collecting habits? Maybe you're someone who collects more of the modern era as well. Maybe you're not actually a retro gamer, but you collect all the newer stuff, all the steel books and collector's editions and things like that from the 360 onwards. Or maybe someone that shuns that completely, and you're totally a retro gamer and you don't really bother with the modern stuff. Whatever kind of collector you are, it'd be really interesting to hear and share back what your habits are, what shaped them, what continues to change that, how it's changed over the years as well. Just as many stories and as different walks of life as we can get in on this discussion, the better. Hopefully you've enjoyed watching the video and it's given you some food for thought and what you want to contribute. And I'd just like to say thanks for watching. Any good feedback or anything like that, greatly appreciated. But that's all I've got time for, so thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon with another video. But that's game over from me.